On the African savanna, seemingly familiar approaches sometimes lead to unexpected and violent reactions. Lions enter with the confidence of apex predators, believing that speed and technique will determine the outcome. But a single moment of misstep can shift the advantage. The following confrontations demonstrate what happens when an attack encounters insurmountable limits. Amidst the low grass of the savanna, the warthog moved slowly, its body low and heavy. That appearance gave the impression of vulnerability. But inside was a reflex system always ready, waiting for a signal of danger to activate. Two lionesses silently closed the distance, waiting for the prey to leave the cover of bushes. The air grew tense as the encirclement closed. The charge was swift, but not powerful enough to finish immediately. In that moment, the warthog chose to confront rather than dodge. It exploded forward with all its might, reaching nearly 35 miles per hour in a short distance. The sudden acceleration disrupted the pursuit. The lions had no time to adjust their direction, and a safe distance was quickly created. The hunt stopped almost instantly. No prey was brought down. In nature, the advantage sometimes lies with the quickest reactant, because the outcome is often decided in the first few seconds. On the arid land, oryx stood apart from the sand, its long, straight horns, nearly 3 feet long, always pointing forward. When it sensed danger, it didn't flee, but immediately turned to face its opponent. This posture formed a direct defensive line, forcing the predator to stop and reconsider its approach. The young lion tried to circle around to find a weak point, but each time it shifted, oryx turned with it, keeping its chest and horns always facing its opponent. The initial charge lacked the force to bring the prey down. In those crucial first seconds, the balance didn't tilt in favor of the attacker. When more than 10 seconds passed and oryx remained standing, the lion's chances diminished significantly. A counterattack with a straight butt forced the lion to retreat to avoid serious risk. The confrontation ended when the predator chose to retreat rather than continue the risk. In harsh environments, not every objective is easily overcome. Calmness and the ability to hold your ground can turn the tide. Sometimes experience and timing are more decisive than sheer strength. The African buffalo is one of the most dangerous animals on the savanna. An adult can weigh between 1,900 and 2,200 pounds, with thick horns and a charge powerful enough to change the course of a fight in seconds. When it senses a threat, its reaction is not hesitant. Two lion cubs were playing with a small prey nearby and lost their vigilance. The buffalo doesn't distinguish between large and small targets. It charges straight at the nearest movement to eliminate the danger. The powerful charge sends one of the cubs flying to the side, shaking the ground for a moment. The cub survives thanks to its light weight. Its small body causes it to be pushed away instead of taking the impact directly. It is not pinned to the ground and quickly retreats out of danger. The buffalo's counterattack ends as soon as distance is created. In nature, small mistakes can lead to big consequences. A moment of distraction is enough to cause serious injury. Survival depends not only on strength, but also on the ability to recognize danger at the right time. On the edge of the tranquil river, the hippo stood still, but controlled the entire space around it. Its massive body didn't seem sluggish, but rather exuded a silent pressure. With its nearly 20-inch long teeth and a bite force of approximately 1,800 pounds per square inch, any movement too close could trigger an immediate reaction. Three male lions approached the water's edge cautiously. They carefully observed the water's surface and the muddy bank, but didn't realize they had entered a sensitive area. A mere shift was enough to cause the nearby hippo to turn, thrusting its entire body forward. The approach was swift and direct. One lion retreated first, the other two turning as the safe distance narrowed with each passing second. The hippo didn't pursue too far, stopping when the boundary was restored and the water became calm again. The confrontation ended in a few tense moments. The lion left the area, while the hippo continued to hold its position. On the savanna, the initiative shifts according to the terrain, and where there is water, the balance often tips in favor of the dominant territory. In the silent savanna, the rhino stands firm, its massive thousands-pound body and thick horn always poised for action. Its imposing appearance easily misleads opponents into misjudging its reaction speed. But with just a slight impact, its entire body can turn in an instant. The lion approaches from behind and lightly bites the hind leg. This isn't a knockout, but rather a probing maneuver to gauge the opponent's reflexes and rotational speed. However, the tactical error quickly becomes apparent. The rhino is not an antelope. It responds with an explosive spin, its massive thousands-pound body delivering force toward its attacker. The safe distance vanishes in a split second. The lion retreats, realizing the increased risk outweighs the potential benefit. The encounter ends without either side being killed, but the advantage clearly favors the animal that maintained the initiative. In nature, testing a prey's reaction doesn't always yield opportunities. Some predators respond with instantaneous force, leaving no room for correction. Misjudging the prey's nature can have far-reaching consequences. In the vast open savanna, wildebeest maintain close formation to minimize the risk of being separated from the herd. A mature individual with a strong physique and curved horns is always ready to switch from movement to defense when the safe distance is broken. The lioness chooses the right moment and locks her prey's neck with her familiar technique. In the first few seconds, the advantage is with the predator. But the wildebeest twists its body, kicks with its hind legs, and shakes its entire body weight to regain balance. The grip begins to falter as the posture becomes unstable. Just a few seconds of lost pressure, and an opportunity immediately arises. The wildebeest springs free from the grip and heads straight towards the herd. The lioness must stop when the grip is no longer stable enough to maintain the initial advantage. The encounter ends without either side being defeated. In nature, the line between success and failure is sometimes decided by just a few seconds of maintaining the upper hand. In the vast expanse of the savanna, the mother elephant stood still before her calf, her massive body, weighing over 10,000 pounds, forming a solid defensive line. The distance between them was almost zero. That stillness wasn't hesitation, but preparation for an instantaneous reaction. A pride of lions began to move in an arc, seeking to create distance between mother and calf. The air grew tense as they drew closer. The mother elephant maintained her position, head lowered, taking small, inching movements to conceal any approach. She didn't pursue, but was ready to charge if the line was crossed. The attempts at separation were unsuccessful. No gap appeared. When the distance between mother and calf remained zero, the lions were forced to stop and retreat. The confrontation ended with the balance tilting heavily in favor of the animal that maintained its bond. In nature, many successful hunts begin with separation. But when the bond is maintained absolutely, the predator's chances disappear almost right from the first step. Through each encounter, the lion's strength never diminishes, but it is constantly challenged by the reflexes and defensive strategies of its opponent. Every approach carries the potential for a reversal in just a few short seconds. On the savanna, victory doesn't belong to the one who attacks first, but to the one who best controls the decisive moment. And sometimes, retreating at the right time is also a form of survival. On the parched grasslands and dusty plains of Africa, hyenas are not just scavengers, as humans often think. They are masters of strategy, persistent, tenacious, and intelligent. Every action they take is based on calculation and discipline. In a world where survival depends on individual decisions, hyenas are symbols of collective intelligence and strength. Hyenas are not impulsive hunters. They persistently pursue their prey over long distances, waiting for the prey to become exhausted before striking. This is how they optimize their energy in each hunt, a calculated strategy, not luck. In hyena societies, order is maintained by strict rules. Females dominate and lead the pack. Power is passed down through generations, not randomly. This system helps hyena packs avoid conflict, coordinate effectively, and maintain lasting strength. The true strength of hyenas lies not only in their sharp teeth or speed, but in their collective intelligence. Each individual understands their role, contributing to the overall victory. In the harsh world of the grasslands, hyenas prove that organization and discipline can rival the strength of any lone predator. On the Serengeti Plains, herds of wildebeest migrate seasonally, creating one of the largest migrations on the planet. Thousands of footsteps trample the arid land, kicking up clouds of dust and echoing the sounds of life. In the twilight, hyenas observe, silently calculating each movement of the herd. They don't rush in a chaotic manner. Their targets are always clear: the old, weak, or separated from the herd. The hyena pack divides its forces, occupying strategic positions, slowly closing in. Each individual has a role: pursuer, blocker, disruptor. This coordination gradually disorients the prey. When the herd of wildebeest begins to become disoriented, one individual is isolated. Hyenas don't attack in a massive assault, but advance step by step, maintaining a steady pace until the opportunity arises. Every movement is calculated by instinct and experience. The hunt ends quickly but orderly. Victory belongs to the species that knows how to wait, how to calculate, and how to act at the right moment. On this harsh savanna, hyenas don't need superior strength, only perfect tactics and tireless perseverance. The African buffalo is a formidable opponent, weighing over 1,500 pounds and possessing sharp, curved horns and a strong pack spirit. Any predator understands that a direct attack is a dangerous option. Hyenas choose a different approach, winning by time. They silently observe the buffalo herd, waiting for a weak or isolated individual. When the opportunity arises, the hyena pack splits into small groups, circling around to create confusion. Their rhythmic bleating and running gradually cause the buffalo to lose control, forcing a weak individual to stray from the group. There is no immediate finishing blow. The battle is slow and tense, each short attack designed to wear down the prey. When the buffalo is exhausted, the hyena pack joins forces, ending the hunt cleanly.
The thing's still alive, eh?
African wild dogs are highly organized predators, with a high success rate thanks to their speed and teamwork. However, when they encounter a pack of hyenas, the situation changes. Both sides understand that even a small mistake can cost them their meal. When wild dogs have just brought down their prey, hyenas often appear, attracted by the smell of blood and the noise. They don't rush in immediately, but observe, count their numbers, and then begin to exert pressure with their characteristic howling. The struggle unfolds in tense silence, with roars, barks, and the sound of wind blending together. If the hyenas outnumber them, the pack of dogs will retreat to avoid injury. But when the numbers are equal, both sides compete fiercely, taking every step and every glance. Ultimately, hyenas often prevail due to their endurance and tenacity. On the harsh grasslands, the winner isn't always the stronger one, but the one who perseveres to the very end. Lions are the most dangerous opponents of hyenas. With their superior strength and dominant instincts, lions make most other predators wary. But hyenas aren't entirely afraid. They know when to advance and when to retreat. When encountering a lone lion, the hyena pack will quickly surround it. Their roars resound, the circle tightens, and individuals take turns closing in to exert pressure. If the lion tries to protect its prey, the hyenas call for allies, making the confrontation tense and chaotic. However, when a lion with its pack or other members appears, the hyenas immediately retreat. They don't gamble their lives on pointless battles. The hyena's intelligence lies in its ability to accurately assess risk and act rationally. The confrontation between these two top predators rarely resulted in bloodshed, but it was always dramatic. Ultimately, the hyena learned that survival wasn't about winning every battle, but about knowing when to stop in order to endure in the long run. Even within a tightly knit system, conflict is inevitable. When food is scarce or their position is threatened, hyenas turn to challenging each other. These confrontations are not just about strength, but about demonstrating power and status within the pack. They use posture, sounds, and gazes to gauge each other's intentions. Violence rarely lasts because the goal is not to destroy, but to re-establish order. The weaker individual will retreat, while the victor consolidates their position. This internal tension, however cruel, is the natural way the hyena pack maintains discipline and strength. In a world where every mistake has a price, order is what keeps the pack alive. Leopards are solitary predators. They rely on speed, agility, and climbing ability to survive. A mature leopard can take down an antelope weighing almost twice its size, but it must always be wary of newcomers, especially hyenas. Hyenas don't need speed or climbing skills. They rely on numbers, noise, and psychological pressure. When they spot a leopard with prey, the hyena pack will quickly surround it, creating a cacophony of laughter that echoes across the field. The noise and pressure stress the leopard, forcing it to choose between protecting its meal and staying safe.
Now they're sizing each other up.
If there are only a few hyenas, the leopard is still confident enough to hold on to its prey. But when the numbers are overwhelming, the leopard is forced to retreat, yielding its prize. The hyenas take the meal without a fight. In this confrontation, there are no weaklings, only those who know how to strategize. In nature, collective strength can overcome individual talent, but only when used at the right time and in the right way. Rhinoceroses are giants of the African savanna, weighing over 4,000 pounds, with skin nearly 2 inches thick and enough strength to toss any opponent into the air. Hyenas understand this, so they never choose to attack head-on. Their only target is the rhinoceros calf, where the chances are slim but real. The hyena pack splits into groups. One group distracts the mother rhinoceros, another waits for an opportunity to separate the calf from its safe zone. Their cries, footsteps, and organized movements constantly distract the mother. But any strong reaction from the rhinoceros causes the hyenas to retreat immediately to avoid injury. Most confrontations end in a stalemate. However, sometimes, with patience and precise coordination, they succeed. Hyenas understand their limits, not exceeding their risks, not wasting energy. In nature, big cats are considered the perfect predators, where strength, speed, and instinct converge. But not every hunt ends in victory. There are rare moments when the prey itself turns the tide. These are some of the most unbelievable failures of big cats, where nature reminds us that nothing is absolute. Impalas are slender antelopes, accustomed to light strides and agile changes of direction. They move in herds, always maintaining a sufficient distance to observe each other. On the savanna, the impala's vigilance often begins very early. Two lionesses silently approached, patiently waiting for the impala herd to move into a favorable position. The tension stretched for a few brief seconds. But that wait didn't last long enough. One lioness attacked too early. The sudden movement shook the ground and shattered the element of surprise. Almost immediately, the impala herd realized the danger and scattered in many directions, tearing apart all initial calculations. In an attempt to adjust, the lioness lunged but lost her balance and slipped into the nearby water channel. That moment was enough to end the hunt. By the time the lions returned to shore, the impalas had vanished from sight. There was no prolonged chase, no second chance. The hunt ended in silence. On the savanna, sometimes failure doesn't come from weakness, but from acting just one beat too early.
Oh my god. My goodness, look at that.
Wildebeests are familiar with long migrations and treacherous river crossings. Their bodies aren't massive, but they're built for endurance, balance, and quick reflexes. When crossing a river, each step is taken with heightened vigilance. At that moment, a young lion silently ambushed them at the water's edge. It chose a time when the herd of wildebeest was dispersing, the current slowing their pace. For a young predator, this was an opportunity to test its strength and assert its instincts. The approach was cautious, but what happened next didn't follow the usual script. Instead of panicking and fleeing, one wildebeest suddenly charged straight ahead, directly confronting the threat. This reflex completely disrupted the attack. The young lion hesitated. Its inexperience prevented it from adjusting to the unexpected action. Instead of closing in, it retreated, giving its prey space to escape the dangerous situation. The hunt ended quickly. The antelope returned to the river and rejoined the herd, while the young lion fled, carrying with it an early lesson in harsh reality. In nature, predators don't always have the upper hand. Sometimes it is the counterattack reflex that disrupts the inexperienced. Antelopes look slender on the savanna, but they always maintain a high level of vigilance and reflexes. Even when standing still, their bodies are in a state of readiness for danger. Nearby, two male antelopes were engaged in a prolonged battle, their stamina noticeably depleted. A leopard patiently waited, believing that fatigue would create an opportunity. The ambush was perfectly timed, but the prey managed to escape. The leopard charged again, but a safe distance had been established, and that attempt also failed. The hunt ended quickly. Even a perfect ambush cannot guarantee absolute success. African buffaloes can weigh up to 1,500 pounds, with thick hides, strong muscles, and curved horns formed through generations of natural collisions. They are not built to run, but to endure, observe, and hold their ground. On the open savannas, simply standing firm is sometimes a great advantage. This time, a male buffalo stood slightly apart from the herd. It didn't rush away, but stopped, concentrating on the bushes ahead, where there was an unusual sign. The prolonged silence signaled an unfamiliar situation. Hidden in the low foliage was a lioness showing signs of declining health, without the support of the pride. With large prey like buffalo, lions typically need consistent physical strength, the element of surprise and teamwork. Without these conditions, every decision becomes risky. The situation unfolded quickly, but the balance soon shifted. The buffalo recognized the instability in the predator's movements. Instead of panicking, it proactively advanced, applying pressure with its weight and direction, forcing the lion to retreat to avoid danger. The lion left the area safely, but its long-term survival became precarious. Without a pride and insufficient strength, each subsequent day was a challenge. The hunt ended not because of a lack of intent, but because the natural limitations had become apparent. Warthogs are often considered slow, with their low stature and heavy gait. But hidden beneath that exterior are quick reflexes and the ability to accelerate rapidly in a short time. On the savanna, a moment of hesitation can make all the difference. Two lionesses silently ambushed the warthog, waiting for it to enter an open space. The attack was swift, but it didn't achieve the desired overwhelming force. As soon as it sensed danger, the warthog didn't dodge, but instead charged straight ahead with all its might. In a short distance, it could reach speeds of nearly 56 kilometers per hour. This sudden acceleration disrupted the pursuit, leaving the lionesses no time to adjust and forcing them to stop. In just a few seconds, the warthog was out of danger. The hunt ended quickly. The lion failed, and the warthog escaped safely. In nature, acceleration and reflexes are sometimes just as important as agility, because survival is often decided in the first few seconds. Honey badgers are small animals, but are known for their thick skin, supple bodies, and high pain tolerance. An adult weighs only a few dozen pounds, but possesses ferocity far exceeding its size. On the savanna, honey badgers rely not on speed, but on reflexes and aggression. In a moment of carelessness, a leopard lunged at a young badger. The strike was quick and precise, seemingly enough to end the hunt. But the next reaction came almost immediately. The mother badger emerged from the bushes and charged forward fiercely. She didn't dodge, didn't hesitate, but directly approached, displaying aggressive and threatening behavior. Faced with this fierce and unpredictable resistance, the leopard panicked and was forced to retreat.
Look at that.
The hunt ended in a flash. The leopard failed, and the badger cub was safely protected. In nature, ferocity and maternal instincts are sometimes strong enough to overpower even larger predators. Hedgehogs are slow-moving animals, but they are protected by thousands of stiff, sharp quills that spring out when attacked. These quills aren't meant to intimidate, but rather a specialized defense mechanism capable of inflicting lasting damage. On the savanna, hedgehogs don't need to run fast to survive. A young leopard lunged forward, underestimating its opponent. The approach was quick, but as soon as it got close, the hedgehog's quills sprang up and pierced the predator's face. The pain forced the leopard to retreat immediately. There was no further attack. The hedgehog slowly retreated to safety, while the leopard fled to avoid more serious injury. The hunt ended in clear failure. In nature, specially evolved defensive weapons are sometimes powerful enough to inflict lasting damage on predators. Baboons are primates that live in tightly knit groups, with a clear social structure and high coordination. Females are responsible for protecting their young, while males act as lookouts and react to threats. On the savanna, a baboon troop is rarely alone. When the leopard suddenly charged into the troop, chaos ensued in an instant. The female quickly shielded her young, retreating to the center of the group. Warning cries rang out, alerting the entire troop to the approaching danger. The male baboons immediately organized a counterattack. They quickly regrouped, maintaining formation and advancing towards the predator. The alpha male charged directly, displaying his strength and determination to defend his territory. Faced with a coordinated response and increasing pressure, the leopard lost its advantage. It was forced to retreat, leaving behind a failed hunt. In nature, collective strength and social organization are sometimes enough to completely reverse the course of a hunt.
Stop now. Fighting.
In the world of big cats, every approach is a life or death decision. Not every hunt goes perfectly, and not every prey falls as expected. When strength, speed, and tactics clash with biological limits, mistakes begin to happen. The following recorded moments show what happens when apex predators cross their own safety boundaries. African elephants are the largest land mammals, their thick skin and body structure making familiar finishing points virtually non-existent. Unable to bite the neck or quickly subdue, elephants rely on size, herd reflexes, and the ability to protect their young to maintain natural advantage in most situations. In extremely rare circumstances, lions are forced to try an unconventional approach. From a high position or out of sight, they target the rare sensitive point of the trunk with the goal of causing immediate panic. This is a risky endeavor, as even a small misstep can backfire the entire approach. The elephant's reaction is almost instantaneous. When the mother elephant intervenes in time, order is restored, and any fragile advantage the lions have instantly vanished. The approach collapses quickly as collective strength is activated. The confrontation ends with the predator's apparent retreat. This wasn't a hunt based on biological advantage, but rather a prime example of behavior exceeding safe limits. In nature, hunts beyond one's capabilities often carry greater risks than the rewards. African buffaloes are herbivores with a tightly knit social structure and exceptional collective strength. Their heavy bodies, quick reflexes, and protective instincts make them formidable adversaries. Within the herd, individuals move in an orderly fashion, maintaining formation to minimize the risk from predators. Lions don't act according to moral principles or challenge the strongest. They observe and select individuals showing signs of weakness, slow movement, or injury. The approach is direct and tense, focusing on weaknesses rather than the overall strength of the herd. A mother buffalo reacts fiercely to protect her fellow, but over time, strength wanes and the ability to maintain formation begins to falter. As the defensive structure becomes unstable, psychological and physical pressure increases rapidly, making the situation more dire. The confrontation ends when the balance tilts decisively in favor of the predator. In nature, weakness often equates to a tragic end. This is clear evidence of the law of survival. It is not the strongest that is eliminated, but the one that is no longer able to keep up with the pace of life of the group. Wild boars are omnivores with thick skin, strong muscles, and a very strong will to survive. Despite their small size, they possess sharp tusks and fierce reflexes when cornered. In the jungle, wild boars are not prey that can be easily subdued. When a tiger approaches, the familiar tactic is to get close and aim for the neck to quickly end the confrontation. However, their thick skin and constant struggling mean this approach isn't always effective. The struggle lasts longer than expected, forcing the predator to expend more energy. The situation only ends when the tiger gains complete control of the space. This is a clear reminder in nature. Not all smaller prey are easily subdued. Every hunt is a gamble, where endurance and resilience are sometimes just as important as strength. Capybaras are the world's largest rodents, living almost entirely dependent on rivers, lakes, and swamps. Water is their primary escape route, their refuge from danger. When near the water's edge, capybaras often believe that a single step back is sufficient for safety. Leopards don't hunt by chasing. They choose a high vantage point, hiding on a branch near the shore and waiting for the moment their prey strays beyond their safe zone. The dive is incredibly fast, completely eliminating any chance of reaction or escape towards the water. The capybara immediately loses its advantage. The distance to its familiar environment is no longer enough to salvage the situation, and the balance quickly shifts in favor of the predator. The hunt ends with a clear advantage. In nature, an environment is only safe when its boundaries are not crossed. Impalas are compact, agile antelopes with quick reflexes and nimble jumping abilities. They rely on their wide vision, speed, and constant vigilance to detect danger from afar. Under normal conditions, impalas always maintain a safe distance from open ground. Leopards don't rely on long chases. They choose high altitudes to reduce the chances of being detected, remaining still on a branch and waiting for the right moment. When the distance is minimized, the approach from above occurs almost vertically, completely disrupting the prey's evasive reflexes. The contact happens in a very short time. Impalas don't have enough space to accelerate or change direction, and any speed advantage is negated from the very first moment. This isn't a race, but a calculated spatial arrangement. The situation ends quickly once the environmental advantage has been fully exploited. In nature, the winner isn't always the one who's faster. Sometimes, victory comes from choosing the right place and the right time to strike. African wild dogs are highly social predators, renowned for their stamina and precise coordination. They rely on numbers to maintain pressure, and the future of the pack rests on the offspring. No single individual is strong enough, but the entire system operates on continuous succession. When lions appear, the goal isn't to seek immediate energy. Targeting the cubs offers no clear nutritional advantage, but it depletes the future number of hunters. In the absence of adult dogs for protection, the risk is virtually zero. The approach is swift and decisive. The lion completely controls the space, shattering the wild dog pack's structure in a very short time. This isn't impulsive behavior, but an ecological precautionary decision, weakening the opponent at its core. The situation ends when the pack of wild dogs is forced to retreat, leaving a long-term void in the population structure. In nature, this is not random violence, but ecological warfare at the population level, where victory or defeat is determined by the ability to eliminate the threat early. Hyenas survive on the savanna by exerting pressure through collective presence and continuous coordinated behavior. They possess enduring physical strength, powerful jaws, and a tendency to challenge opponents through psychological pressure rather than direct confrontation. When the ecological order is challenged by the emergence of a true dominant force, hyenas are forced to adjust their behavior to avoid exceeding safety limits. When a male lion appears, the goal is not to quickly eliminate the prey for food. Actions are controlled, circling, alternating close encounters, and maintaining prolonged tension for the opponent. This is how lions assert power without resorting to a full-scale confrontation. Psychological pressure spreads rapidly. The hyena's coordinated structure begins to weaken, forcing individuals to separate from the group to reduce risk. The disparity now lies not in individual strength, but in the pre-established dominance. The encounter ended when the hyenas completely withdrew from the area. This was not random violence or a spontaneous act. In nature, it was social violence, used to deter and reinforce the dominant position of the male lion in the ecological order. On the African savanna, the line between safety and danger is often just a few steps away. Beneath seemingly peaceful rivers, crocodiles lurk, waiting for the slightest misstep of their prey. Here, muscular strength, pack discipline, or years of experience can all be rendered useless in an instant. The following stories record moments when crocodiles and their environment together determine their fate. Wild antelopes are the largest migratory herbivores on the African savanna. Each year, their journey of over 500 miles creates constant pressure on each individual. In the dense migration, individual rhythms gradually become diluted, and even a small deviation can become a survival risk. As the herd descends into the river, the biological balance immediately shifts. Deep water impairs body control, eliminates muscular advantages, and turns weight into a burden. Crocodiles don't seek out the weakest. They wait for individuals that lose their balance, moving out of sync in the turbulent current. The approach is swift and precise. The estimated bite force of 3,700 psi isn't intended to finish them off immediately, but to drag the prey into dangerous underwater space. Here, All familiar reflexes from land become ineffective. The migration continues, leaving behind an irreversible outcome. For the wildebeest, the surface water becomes an underwater hell. In nature, crocodiles are not chaotic destroyers, but rather regulators, forcing the population to pay the price for every deviation in the struggle for survival. African wild dogs are known for their rare collective coordination on the savanna. They move persistently, maintaining tight formations and clearly defined roles to control large spaces. Their strength lies not in individual dogs, but in the precisely maintained pack rhythm throughout each movement. As the pack approaches the water's edge, the familiar rhythm begins to change. The damp terrain and limited space reduce maneuverability. A young individual subtly separates from the pack, focusing on what lies ahead without noticing the unusual silence beneath the water's surface. The approach happens in a very short moment. The crocodile doesn't confront the entire pack, but waits for a single individual to lose their rhythm. When the advantage of speed and space is gone, the collective response doesn't have time to form. The encounter ended quickly. The river returned to calm, and the pack of wild dogs was forced to retreat and regroup. In nature, even the most effective collective tactics can become fragile when placed in the wrong environment. African buffaloes are large, heavy herbivores with a firm footing. Adult individuals move slowly but steadily, rarely losing their balance when approaching the water's edge. Crocodiles approach silently, but with an adult buffalo, its immense weight renders any attempt to drag it into the water ineffective. The buffalo's strength in this environment is beyond the crocodile's control. Only when a young buffalo strays from its protective circle does the situation change. Lighter and with less developed reflexes, this individual becomes a rare vulnerability for the crocodile to exploit. In the wild, crocodiles don't challenge strength, but rather take advantage of unprotected areas. Lions are at the top of the predatory chain on the savanna. On dry land, they possess a powerful physique, rapid acceleration, and a clear psychological advantage. Many confrontations end quickly, simply with the appearance of a single adult. However, when approaching water, that order changes. An inexperienced lion stepping too close to the riverbank will cross the line where its familiar advantage no longer applies. Crocodiles don't actively seek confrontation with lions. The situation only arises when the distance narrows and environmental conditions become unfavorable. Everything happens in a matter of seconds. Deep water reduces the lion's mobility and reaction time, while the crocodile simply needs to lure its opponent into the water to gain the upper hand. Conversely, if dragged ashore, The crocodile's heavy body forces it to abandon its approach and return to its familiar environment. The encounter ends quickly, without a prolonged chase. In nature, strength is not absolute. Only when adapted to its living space does an advantage truly matter, and the boundaries of power are always determined by the environment. Gazelles are symbols of speed and agility on the savanna. Their light bodies, quick reflexes, and ability to constantly change direction allow them to maintain a safe distance from most land threats. But all those advantages come to a halt when the gazelle approaches its watering point. With its head down, its vision is narrowed, its movements become erratic, and its acceleration is almost non-existent. Just below the water's surface, the crocodile locates its position through tiny vibrations. The approach takes place within a few feet, leaving no room for error. It all ends in a brief moment. The gazelle loses its familiar posture, unable to regain the necessary momentum to escape the danger zone. At the watering point, just one wrong posture is enough to lose all evolutionary advantage. The river quickly returned to its calm. On the savanna, survival depends not only on speed, but also on avoiding moments that force vigilance to be sacrificed for survival. Zebras survive on the strength of their herd. On dry land, they maintain a steady rhythm of movement, react almost simultaneously, and rarely leave dangerous gaps. This safety comes from familiar movement patterns and consistently maintained collective discipline. But when the herd enters the river, that steady rhythm begins to crumble. The current makes each step unsteady, breaking the formation in moments. A young, slow individual is pushed out of the main current and falls into a narrow, deep space. Just below the surface, crocodiles react instantly to the unusual vibrations. A brief approach from below disorients the zebra, deviating from its safe trajectory. In this environment, water erases familiar reflexes, rendering any attempt at escape disjointed. The encounter ended quickly. The zebra herd continued on its way, leaving behind an irreparably broken order. In nature, the environment is not merely a backdrop, but the decisive factor when collective strength loses its rhythm. Elephants rely on long-term memory and strong herd structures. Mature individuals lead the group with decades of accumulated experience, maintaining a tight formation even when navigating unpredictable environments like deep rivers. Their slow pace is always accompanied by silent vigilance. When the elephant herd wades into a strong current, the familiar order begins to feel strained. The flow causes the distance between individuals to widen momentarily. A young elephant slips, no longer within the herd's protective circle. From the mud at the bottom of the river, the crocodile takes advantage of this rare moment. The approach is swift in a space where size is no longer an absolute advantage. The collective reaction of the elephant herd doesn't have time to form before the situation is resolved. The river soon returned to its calm. In nature, even species that dominate through cohesion can be challenged when the environment tilts decisively toward the ambusher. Hippopotamuses are among the largest and heaviest animals that regularly inhabit African freshwater environments. With their massive bodies, thick skin, and high defensive reflexes, each adult individual is a mobile force in itself. In shallow water, the presence of a hippopotamus is enough to establish order around them. When a crocodile gets too close, the situation isn't predatory. It's a test of distance. The hippopotamus doesn't move, but holds its body like a living wall, blocking the approach. The pressure comes from size, stability, and territorial determination, not from pursuit. The crocodile quickly adjusts its behavior. There's no safe approach angle, no chance of drawing the opponent into control. The contact ends before escalation, and the crocodile retreats to deeper water. In nature, not every encounter leads to conflict. Against living walls like hippos, the instinct for survival is sometimes most clearly demonstrated through the decision to stop at the right moment. Through each encounter, the river appears not merely as a source of water, but as a harsh test of nature. The crocodiles don't need a long chase or a display of strength. They simply wait for the moment the environment sides with them. In the wild, the survivor isn't the strongest or most numerous species, but the one that understands the limits of its opponent and its own surroundings. When the water closes, any deviation leaves an irreversible price to pay.